Hello everyone, this is a quick overview guide of how to set up and use the traffic system, the traffic control system. I'm just going to jump straight into this. I'm not going to show how to add it to your project or any of that. You should already have a basic idea of how to do that. So let's jump straight into this. So after adding this to your project, you'll have this folder, a new folder, traffic control system. And the main three actors that you need are right here at the top level of the folder for easy access, or you can access them by typing TCS into the place actors up here. So I'm going to start by just setting up a simple road system just to demonstrate how the system works. So I'll start here with a road path. Uh, this is the actor that you'll set up all your road paths with. Obviously, it's got a spline here connected to it, so you just drag this out, set the road up however you want, and then the spline acts as like the center point of the road path, and then the lanes for that road will come off of this. So we'll set four of these up here. I'm just going to do 4-lane roads for all of this for example's sake. So I'm going to start with 300 offset here. So the offset, like I said, it just sets which direction the lane uh, offsets from the center spline here. So if I was to go into one here and do 600, you'll see there's 2 lanes here now. And then if I want to go left as opposed to right, you do negative. So like this would be 600, negative 300, and now we have a 4-lane road here. And I want the 2 here on the left to be reverse. So we want a 2-lane road. I'm going to extend this a bit. All right, so we have one road. I'll just go ahead and hold down Alt and drag this, which will duplicate it. And I'm going to make a simple intersection here. So just do the same thing again. Move that up here. All right, now we have four roads pointing at each other as an intersection. And the way this works is you will drag your intersection actor here, which will define the paths of the intersection. All you have to do is hit the Make Intersection button here, and it'll find all the roads within this road find radius, which you define because sometimes you'll have smaller or bigger intersections. You want to make sure that it finds all the proper roads. But you can also set them up manually if you need to right here. If you hit Make Intersection and this has something populated in it, it won't auto-populate. But if it's empty, as you'll see, it will fill this up. So as you see, it drew all of the intersection paths here. Now these are actually part of the road path actor. The intersection actor is just updating these actors. So you don't actually need the intersection actor to still be in the scene after you do this, unless you're using traffic lights. So I'll demonstrate that here. I'll hit make again so that this list is populated, and then for traffic lights, you just hit this checkbox here, and it will populate this array. It'll copy the roads here, so these are all associated with these roads. So as you see, we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. We have 0, 1, 2, and 3 here. If we try to add, it won't do it because there's no fourth item in this array up here, and vice versa. So like if I was to delete a road up here, you'll see it removes down here. All right. And as you'll notice, these traffic light actors were added in automatically in the position that you would most likely want them. It kind of smartly tries to position them depending on how the intersection is set up. So like, for example, if this was a T intersection up here, I'll just add another one, hit make intersection, turn on the traffic lights. As you can see, it placed a shorter single light at the end of the T intersection here. And if you want to customize these, these are fully customizable. So, for example, if you wanted to say, I don't know, change this street light so that it's down here, you need to find the road that it's associated with. So this one is for road 2. So you kind of just want to position yourself like this. So now we're looking at road 2 and we know that's its traffic light. So we can go down here in the traffic light settings to road 2 and then let's turn this into a traffic light small. Oops. Traffic light small. There you go. And you can see that changed. And placement, we have a bunch of options here. So forward road is going to be your road that's across the intersection. So whatever one it's aiming at, and it's in like 30 or 40 degree radius in each direction. If there's no road straight ahead, this will do nothing. So we wanted to move this down here. So this is not the forward road. This is the main road. So we just want road right, and that'll move it right there. And then we have offset here. So if you want to change the XY of the auto placement at all, you can just modify this. X is the X and Y values are going to be relative to the direction of the approach. So like the travel direction of whatever road. So if this was like, this was back on the forward road right up here, X is going to be the same way as out from the intersection here because it's facing from this direction. So for 500 is going to go back 15, etc. And then Y is going to go left and right from this direction. So 500, 1500, etc. I'm going to put this back at 500, which is the default. And then we'll put this on road right. And then for road 1, we'll just do the opposite so there's not two lights here. So we'll also switch this to traffic light small. And then we'll just do road right. That's a little awkward placement, so we should probably move this road 0 light to the left a little. So let's go negative 500. No, that's not what I wanted. Actually, we'll center it. Perfect. All right, and I suppose I'll turn this into a working road system here so we can demo the traffic spawning. So I will, let's see, we'll just take this and kind of turn it into a roundabout type thing here. Yeah, that should work. And we'll just do that all the way around. So I'm going to copy that. You'll see that it's still connected because it's duplicated. You can just hit clear lane connections and it'll clear all of those. Rotate. That looks good. I'll just duplicate that again. Go about there. And for this one, I'll just grab there we go. Grab that spline, bring it over, bring it about there. And that's pretty ugly, but it'll work. And that's a bit far out, so. All right. So as you can see, any lane that's not connected to anything will be flashing red. That's your indicator that something is not set up properly. If you were to leave this, if you were to hit play right now, well, if you were spawning vehicles and you had hit play right now, when a vehicle gets to the end of one of these roads, it'll just simply delete itself. So that's kind of a countermeasure to these. All right, so I'm going to finish setting these intersections up. I'm just going to put the default settings for traffic lights on all of these. It doesn't look too bad. Let's turn on traffic, make the intersection, turn on traffic lights, make that intersection. And there we go. All the lines are green, indicating that all the roads are set up correctly. If for whatever reason you wanted to see these in more detail, you can simply check draw lanes here, and it'll draw them in a much bolder way. And the same for intersections. If you check intersections here, it'll draw the intersections like that. All right, so that should be a working road system there. So now we'll set up the traffic controller. This is your actor that spawns all of your traffic vehicles. It takes into account all the players in the server. I'll just show you here. So we'll spawn that. You can see our settings over here. So you got max vehicles. This is going to be your hard cap for your vehicle limit. And then you have vehicles per player. So this is the maximum vehicles per player, not necessarily how much are going to spawn, because the way it works is 2 players can actually share a group of relevant vehicles. So if, for example, you had 2 players standing right next to each other, almost all of the vehicles around those players are going to count for both of those players. So if you had it on the default settings here, it may just, the server may have just 16 vehicles as opposed to 32. And here's the spawning, how the spawning works. So you can see when you hit debug mode here, it shows you these radius around this actor. This represents the spawn radius around players, not around this actor. So what this does is the spawn radius setting here, this is your radius around each player that vehicles are allowed to spawn. As you can see, you change it and the green circle will adjust to show you how that works. And then you have the dead zone setting here. This is, as the name implies, the area around a player that's too close to spawn. So anything inside the red circle there will be excluded as a valid spawn for vehicles. So you have to be careful with this. Don't try not to set it like too close to the spawn area here, or otherwise you'll just have vehicles spawning in a very slim area, and you'll end up with almost no vehicles. So that's that. So the system comes with a custom vehicle physics that I made specifically for this asset. Uh, it's kind of just like a basic line trace vehicle physics system. As you'll see the demo vehicles here. They're in demo assets, blueprints, vehicles. These are the basic vehicles that I set up using that system, but the system itself is actually included in the main folders, so that it doesn't get deleted if you delete the demo assets folder. So it's in here. So you have vehicle physics right here. This is kind of like your wheeled vehicle movement component that you would add, or your like character movement component that you would add to a character to get it to move. Um, so so I'm gonna set these vehicles to spawn here. So we got 4 demo vehicles included. So I'm gonna put 4 here. I'm just gonna drag each one on. This first one here is your base class, so you don't want to add that one. Alright, so we got 4 vehicles there, and now if we hit play, we'll have vehicles. So I'm just going to hit play from here. As you see, we've got vehicles spawning on our road paths, and as we get closer, they switch to physics mode. And yeah, you click on them, you can toss them around, so you can play with their AI, see how they drive back. Oh, and as you can see, the traffic light actors here don't actually have traffic lights on them until you spawn in, and that's because there's a traffic light interface included, and this actor uses it, so I'll show you that. Basically, when begin play is called, the intersection will send an event to whatever traffic lights are applied here in the traffic light settings. So if you implement the interface for it, traffic lights interface right here, you'll have access to add lanes. So the intersection actor will notify the traffic light actor here of lanes, and then in here I'm just automatically constructing the traffic light meshes onto the pole here using the location of the lanes that it drops in. It's actually a lot more simple than it sounds. I think that is pretty much it for the basics of how this works. So next up, I'll be showing you how to set up your traffic cars to use a custom vehicle physics plugin, so you can have your vehicles using whatever physics system you like. All right, I'm back. I've gone ahead and added a vehicle physics plugin to my project. In this case, I'm using the Advanced Vehicle System plugin, which is my own creation. It's on the Unreal Marketplace if you would like to purchase that. But I've gone ahead here and created a poorly made vehicle really quick, just for demonstration purposes. This is just using the base assets that come with AVS. So if I hit play here, you can see everything's working as expected. It can roll around. It's just waiting on some inputs. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. I'm going to open this up. And as you can see, there's not much going on here yet. All right, so the first thing you want to do is make sure these vehicles are not simulating physics by default. So by default, when your traffic vehicle spawns, it's going to expect that it's able to move around without physics. So it's pretty simple to do an AVS here. You just go to your class defaults and uncheck start with physics. That'll be different for whatever physics plugin you're using, or if you've made your own. You'll just have to handle that in some way. So what we need to do here is drive our inputs from the traffic control system into our vehicle somehow. So the way that's done is with a component here called TCS Traffic Vehicle. This handles all the movement when physics is disabled, as well as the AI and sending the inputs to the vehicle when physics is turned on. So the first thing you'll want to do with this is you'll need to get to these events here. The easiest way I find to do it is just click up here on this and then hit collapse all. That'll collapse everything here, and then just go to events. And you'll see there's a few events that are specific to this component here. We have resource mode changed, so we want that. And then we have our inputs here, throttle, steering, and handbrake. Our handbrake is just a flat on and off, but you can use it to drive your brake input if you like. It doesn't really matter if you drive your brake input or your handbrake input. Just know that it's just a full on or off at this time. So we're gonna add these. We've got throttle, steering. I like the throttle and steering to be on top here. All right. So the first thing we want to do is make sure our physics is set up properly and our networking. So when physics is disabled on your vehicle, the traffic control system vehicle plugin here, or component, I mean, sorry, will handle all of the networking. You don't want your vehicle physics plugins networking to be fighting with this. It can really cause some problems. So what we want to do is when our resource mode changes to the mode that enables physics, we want to turn our networking on, and vice versa when it goes off of that mode. So here's how we're going to handle that. We're just going to check if our new resource mode is high, and I'm going to hold down B and click. That'll give you a branch. There we go. And then if we are in high mode, that means we want our physics to be on. The component expects physics to be on when this changes. So what we'll do is we'll set physics. So this is a function of AVS. This will be different depending on what plugin you're using. But in this case, we'll do set physics true. And then if we're not in high mode, so off of false, we want to turn physics off. And then for networking, AVS uses a node called should sync with server. So with physics turned on, we want to turn on AVS's networking, and then vice versa for off. And that should be all you need to do there. You might want to add some additional logic from going from high to low. So like if this is off false, you might want to like reset the wheels to point straight again. That's depending on your project and how your stuff's set up. So then we have our inputs here. So I'm just going to add our AVS inputs. So we set throttle input. This is the same as setting up like a character or an AI or any of that, but it's just driven from this component instead of like an input axis or something like that. Set steering input. And then for our handbrake, what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to set both our handbrake and I'm going to set our brake input. So first we'll set our AVS handbrake, and then I'm going to add set brake input, and then I'm just going to drag this over to our Boolean here, and that will set this to 0 float if this is false, and a 1 float if it's true. That'll give us some extra braking power there. And I believe that's it for inputs. We just need one more thing. So the way your traffic component here checks for obstructions is it checks for the object types of vehicle or pawn. So if it detects either one of those is in front of it, it's going to hit the brakes. So we need to make sure that our vehicle has something on it. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be the chassis, but something on our vehicle needs to have our collision set to object type of vehicle. So I've already done it here, but by default this would be set up. I think it's on block all by default. So you can see, or no, it was on block all dynamic. So by default, this is set to world dynamic. You want to go into custom and change that to either vehicle or pawn. Probably vehicle in this case because this isn't a player controlled thing. Unless, of course, you were using it in that way, then you might want pawn. I'm also going to disable camera on there. But that should be it for the vehicle setup. That's all there is to it there, just that stuff. And now if we hit play, I've already added this in here, but so on our vehicle spawner, I'm just going to add this in as a fifth option here. So as you can see, we're now using two different types of vehicle physics, which is perfectly acceptable should your project need that. So these first four here are using the included vehicle physics, and then this is your AVS. If I hit play now, it should sprinkle in those AVS vehicles along with our demo vehicles. Right, and as you can see, they're there in the background. So since I'm not nearby them, they don't have physics enabled, and the networking is controlled by the TCS plugin. If I come near them, you'll see they'll bounce up a little bit because they're not correctly, the wheels aren't correctly aligned. But now physics mode is on. The AVS plugin has taken control of networking, and the TCS plugin is driving the inputs. As you can see, it's now following this road path, and it's just driving it with the same inputs as if a player was controlling this vehicle. Pretty neat. And you can see if I throw this vehicle, it should, of course, if it lands on its wheels. There we go. it should just drive itself right back to its path and get on there. All right, so the last thing I want to show now is basically how to use the included vehicle physics that come with the plugin. They're mostly just there for demo purposes, but there's no reason you can't use it should you want to. It's basically just a super simple uh, physics setup, just line traces down from the wheel component and some basic control over the meshes that are attached to that component. So I'll just go ahead and create a simple vehicle here. So we'll just go into the demo assets, blueprints, vehicles, and we'll find this demo traffic base here. And what we're going to do is just create a child of this. And I'll just call it demo video vehicle. All right. And the way you set this up, so you have your TCS vehicle wheel here. This is just a component that you can add in the list here, TCS vehicle wheel. So I'll just go ahead and add another one here, and then you just attach a mesh to it. Make sure it's zeroed out, and then that's basically your wheel setup there. And then included in the traffic vehicle base is a if you go to class defaults, preview wheel travel. What it's going to do is show you where the wheels will their max wheel travel basically. You want to make sure you don't leave this on when you hit play because these previews here are actually meshes, and the wheel component here can get confused and use these as the wheel mesh instead of the one added here. This is just here for ease of access while setting it up. And then what you want to do here is you want to set your wheel radius to that of your mesh. And you can find that just by clicking your mesh here and hit the magnifying glass to find it in the content browser. And if you open it up, you'll see approximate size here. The 62, yeah, 62. That'd be your Z, so that's XYZ. That's your diameter. So you want to half it, so that'd be 31 in this case. It looks like I had it set to 38 here for some reason, but that should be 31 for these wheels. And then you have just your basic values. You got some torque, you got your wheel friction, strength, spring absorption. You just want to, play with those values and figure out what works for your vehicle. You might want to actually spawn your vehicle in the world here to try it out. So you want to turn off the wheel travel, and then also you want to click on your vehicle physics here and hit start with physics, and then traffic vehicle config turn off enabled. That will basically turn off all the traffic features so you can spawn it in and see how it functions there. Alright, so let me disable that again. We'll turn physics off by default. Traffic vehicle, we want that on by default. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete this wheel here that I made. So there's one more thing. I'm going to set this to a different mesh to show this. I'm going to set this to the AVS base mesh. And I'll just align these wheels a bit better here. I'm not going to try very hard. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Your wheel here, it can be facing 180 degrees the wrong way, but you want to make sure your TCS vehicle wheel component, the x-axis is always facing forward. So passenger, just do this quick. All right, so we have this. Now, we need to determine the ride height of the vehicle. So the way we need to do this is just spawn it in the world here, and then there's a component specifically for this called TCS Ride Offset Finder. So you just add that, and then you want to start with physics and disable traffic components again so that this will drop to the ground. And you basically just want it to rest on the ground. And what that'll do is it'll print up here. That's your ride offset. So you got negative 1.777 for this setup here. So we're going to go into here. We're going to delete that component. We're going to go ahead and disable that. And then here in our traffic vehicle component, you'll see vehicle height offset. So you want to set that to whatever that component told you. So in this case, 1.777 or negative 1.777. And what that'll do is it'll make it so when this thing is following this spline here, the position in which it follows the spline will be offset by whatever that number was to make sure that the wheels are perfectly aligned to where they will be when it switches to physics mode. That way, the transition between the transition between non-physics mode, where it's following a spline, and then into physics mode will be completely smooth and unnoticeable. And I think that is all there is to that. Yep. So that is the basics of the traffic control system. I hope you enjoy it. I put a lot of time and effort into making this, so I appreciate any support. If you have any suggestions, just uh, drop into the Discord and let me know. I'm always there, offering support and talking with the community and all that. So I hope you guys have a good day. Uh, Goodbye.